The cuffs weren't tight, but the silence was. Every step echoed across the marble floor. As security walked her through the towering glass lobby, past polished executives, whispering interns, and a receptionist too stunned to lift her coffee. No one knew who she was. Or worse, they thought they knew. A man in a navy suit leaned in. Trespassing, the guard nodded. Tried to push past the executive wing. Wouldn't give her name. She didn't respond. No resistance. No outburst. Just a calm woman with a yellow folder in one hand. And it looked like she was waiting for something. Then it happened. The elevator dinged. Out stepped a man who didn't need a name tag. Presence. Expensive coat. Eyes sharp. He paused and locked eyes with her. "What the hell is going on here?" he asked. She was found near the boardroom. "No clearance, no ID," the guard began. The man didn't blink. "Uncuff her. Now." "Sir, she owns the building," he snapped. "You just walked the majority shareholder out in restraints." Gasps. A dropped phone. A chair scraped against tile. The guard scrambled. Keys fumbled. Hands shook. But she didn't even move. She just smiled, like the test was over, and they had failed. They noticed her the moment she walked in, but not for the right reasons. No heels. No power suit. Her curls weren't slicked into the corporate standard. Instead, she wore low-profile sneakers, black slacks, and a tailored jacket over a crisp blouse. Casual. Efficient. Not what anyone in that building expected from someone in control. She stepped to the front desk. The woman behind the counter didn't even offer a full glance. "Deliveries go around back," she said flatly. Leona Cruz blinked, then tilted her head. "I'm here to speak with Mr. Drennan." The receptionist raised an eyebrow, finally lifting her gaze, scanning Leona as though weighing her worth in seconds. "And you are?" Leona offered only a first name. "Leona." That was enough for now. "Do you have an appointment?" The sneer was audible now. Before she could reply, a man in a checkered shirt and shiny lanyard brushed past. "Hey," he told the receptionist, ignoring Leona entirely. "Tell security we got another one snooping by the elevators." It wasn't even directed at her, but she heard it. A second guard approached from the hallway, hand already on his radio. "Ma'am," he said stiffly, "I'm going to need you to step away from that area." Leona opened her mouth to speak, but the moment passed, her voice drowned by assumption. "We've had some issues lately," the guard explained to his colleague, not to her. "People wandering in from the cafe, pretending to have meetings." Still calm, still steady. "You can check the system," she said. "I have access." But the guard shook his head. "Not without a badge. You don't." Behind her, someone snickered. "Looks like someone's lost." Laughter followed. Soft, but cutting. No one cared who she was, because they had already decided what she wasn't. Important. Official. Worth listening to. The security team gently took her by the arm. Leona didn't resist. Not yet, because this wasn't new. She had been underestimated before. Her silence wasn't weakness. It was patience, the kind you develop when you've been dismissed your whole life, until the moment they can't ignore you anymore. And that moment, it was coming. Just not yet. Leona sat quietly in the corner of the lobby, no longer being watched, but clearly no longer welcome. The receptionist kept glancing over, lips twitching with amusement. The guards loitered near the entrance, pretending to be busy. They hadn't escorted her out, but the message was clear. Don't linger. And yet, she did. A small notebook in one hand, a pen clipped to its side. To the outside, she was just scrolling through her phone. In truth, she was recording everything. The scuff tile near the elevator, the outdated fire certificate above the desk, the improper name tags, 2 employees, mismatched and careless. She wasn't here to visit. She was inspecting, not as a customer, not as a contractor, but as someone with the authority to fix what others ignored. Her father had left her this building, not the company, not the franchise, the asset, the deed, the air rights above it. The staff didn't know. That had been her idea. "I want to see how they treat someone with no title," she'd said. "Then I'll decide who stays." So here she was, playing the role of nobody, and watching them trip over their assumptions. A young intern passed by, accidentally knocking a stack of papers off the desk. The receptionist didn't move. Not my problem, she muttered. Leona raised an eyebrow. Strike one. An older woman in a cleaning uniform limped down the hallway. The desk supervisor barked. If you can't move faster, why are you here? Leona's grip on her notebook tightened. Strike two. Then came the worst. A manager strutted from the elevator, laughing with coworkers. HR's been recruiting off Craigslist again. He joked, his eyes landing on Leona. He winked. She didn't react, just noted his nameplate. Strike three. She watched the infractions pile up. Like rotting fruit, no one realized they were being judged. Because, to them, she didn't matter. And that was the test. Not only were they failing, they were celebrating their failure. The arrogance of mediocrity was loud. When people think they're secure, they reveal who they truly are. Leona had enough. Her silence hadn't been passive. It had been research. She wasn't here to observe. She was here to reset the entire system. From the top floor, down. Leona returned the next day. No hoodie, no duffel bag. This time, she wore a navy blazer, minimalist jewelry, and heels that clicked with intent. She walked past the same front desk that had dismissed her just 24 hours before. No one recognized her. That was intentional. She didn't speak, didn't wave. She gave her name at the security kiosk, presented a slim black folder, and was escorted to the executive floor. The junior officer looked confused, but he didn't ask questions. When the elevator doors opened, a familiar face from her father's time gasped. Miss Cruz, the receptionist whispered. Leona nodded. Please tell them I'm here. There, in the middle of a quarterly debrief, the woman hesitated. Leona opened the folder. A letter stamped with legal insignia. A deed transfer marked confidential. Not anymore, they're not. Minutes later, a boardroom fell silent. Mid-level execs, one annoyed director, all watching as Leona stood at the head of the table. She didn't raise her voice. As of this morning, she began, I've exercised full ownership rights over the property known as Falcon Ridge Central Tower. A scoff. You're the maintenance vendor's daughter, right? Leona didn't flinch. No, I'm Arturo Cruz's daughter, the man who held the controlling stake of this building's land title, sublease rights, and airspace, all of which are now mine. A few murmurs. One executive went pale. Wait, what? Leona continued. I've spent the last 6 months reviewing internal complaints, employee turnover, and operations contracts. What I saw from the lobby yesterday confirmed everything. She clicked a remote. A screen lit up. Footage from the day before. Her perspective. The mockery. The side comments. The Craigslist joke. Captured. Time-stamped. Linked to names and faces. Silence like thunder. This building will undergo a management review immediately, she said. Those who define power by proximity to this floor will find their badges deactivated by noon. Nobody moved. An assistant muttered, I didn't know she was someone. Leona turned. I was someone before I owned this floor. That's what you all forgot. A director tried to recover. With respect, Ms. Cruz, you don't have operational authority over tenant businesses. Leona smiled. But I control the lease. And starting next quarter, I'll be renegotiating all of them. Performance reviews included. Someone whispered, she's turning the whole place upside down. Leona closed the folder. Step back. No, I'm turning it right side up. There was no applause. No chaos. Just silence. The kind that happens when power shifts and everyone realizes they were standing on borrowed ground. Word spread faster than anyone expected. By the afternoon, the same people who laughed at Leona's outfit were scrubbing their socials, double-checking emails, huddling in whisper-tight stairwell meetings. Department heads called it a miscommunication, a misunderstanding, but the footage spoke louder. Every smirk, every insult, time-stamped, tied to faces. Leona didn't need a shout. Her silence was enough. She walked the halls of the executive floor, like a quiet audit in motion. No threats, no warnings, just a nod to those who had treated her with dignity. Some wouldn't meet her eyes. Others tried to grovel. One front desk clerk, the same one who rolled his eyes, handed her a fresh espresso. Good morning, Ms. Cruz. Leona took it, said nothing. She didn't need an apology. His fear was enough. Upstairs, the director who once laughed at her name tried to schedule a one-on-one. She declined. Any conversation you want with me should be suitable for the full board. The manager who once joked she looked like a bathroom cleaner was packing his desk by lunch. HR said, termination without prejudice. But everyone knew the truth. No one wanted their name on a confidential memo with Leona's initials. But this wasn't revenge. This was repair. Leona spent the next 48 hours rewiring the entire building culture. Maintenance got a raise. Cleaners got full health care and new uniforms. Employee break rooms were restored. No longer storage closets. Even the cafeteria got replaced. The old vendor had been overcharging hourly staff and giving discounts to execs. Justice in small things. Leona said, that's how culture changes. Some executives complained to the board. She's overstepping. She doesn't understand the economics. So Leona published a quarterly report. Cost efficiency, waste exposure, years of buried discrepancies. Laid bare. She didn't argue. She dismantled. That week, the CEO finally called. You've caused quite the stir, he said. Good, Leona replied. It needed stirring. He chuckled. Just don't burn the place down. She didn't laugh. I'm not burning it. I'm disinfecting it. That night, after the building emptied, Leona stayed behind. She walked the corridors alone, not to gloat, but to finish what her father started. On the executive floor, she placed a small frame on her new desk, a photo of Leona Cruz, smiling, blueprints in hand. She whispered, we're not done yet, Dad. By the end of the week, the walls weren't whispering. They were echoing, with panic. The department heads, who once strutted the halls, like royalty, now walked stiff and silent, glancing over their shoulders. Leona didn't need to say a word. She was the audit, a presence they couldn't ignore, a reckoning in heels. The old guard, men and women who profited from backroom deals, discretionary bonuses, untraceable budgets, began to implode from within. One VP, known for toasting at happy hours that he ran this building, was gone after a quiet internal review. Inflated consulting expenses, years of it. Another, flagged for funneling vendor contracts to his cousin's firm, flagged by an intern Leona had promoted. No dramatic firings. That made it worse. People just vanished. Names wiped from the directory. Offices left eerily empty after lunch. What scared them wasn't Leona's volume. It was her precision. She didn't speak unless she had proof. And when she did, it was already too late. She released a legal memo. Courteous, professionally worded, surgical, no names, but dates, figures, enough breadcrumbs to ruin reputations. Without ever saying a word, one senior manager resigned the next morning. Another tried defending himself in an all-team email. It backfired. Leona's new compliance unit had already archived his every keystroke. Downstairs, the whispers shifted. This time, they carried awe. The same front desk that once mocked her stood up straighter now. The janitor, who had witnessed her humiliation, saluted her with a mop in hand and a quiet smile. The shift was tangible, not just in posture, in energy. But Leona didn't gloat. She didn't grin. She moved, deliberate, focused, purposeful. Each person she removed made space for someone better. A receptionist with an MBA, now an executive coordinator. A military vet in maintenance, now a facilities advisor. Her replacements were chosen, not for polish, but for grit. Still, resentment lingered in the executive suite, thinly veiled behind tight smiles. They called her the Storm, the silent executioner, the owner's daughter playing so. She heard them, didn't care, let them whimper. She told her new assistant, as long as they work while they do it. That Friday, a formal announcement dropped. Leona Cruz, permanent oversight of all 15 buildings. In the district portfolio, the board's vote? Unanimous. One last domino fell. The regional director, the one who called security on her, resigned. Health reasons. No one believed him. Monday morning, the building was quiet, but not dead. It was clean, like a storm had passed, and taken all the debris with it. There were no nervous huddles, no executive posturing, just silence. the kind that follows truth. Leona stood in the same spot, where security once surrounded her, under fluorescent lights, under scrutiny. But this time, everyone was looking at her, and only her. Phones down, eyes up. Even the janitors paused from a mezzanine to listen. She didn't raise her voice. Didn't need to. "We are not rebuilding this place," she said. "We are restoring it to what it should have always been." Her words landed, not like punches, but like anchors, heavy, unmovable. Behind her stood the new leadership team, the receptionist with the MBA, the overlooked IT analyst, the quiet woman from facilities, now leading strategy meetings. They weren't tokens. They were titans, forged in silence. Now, standing, undeniable, down the hallway, 3 employees packed their things. Among them, the assistant director, who once mocked her outfit, the man who smirked when she walked in the first time. Leona approached him directly. No malice, no spectacle, just a crisp envelope with his severance paperwork. "No hard feelings," she said, smooth. "But I need people who recognize power before it has to announce itself." He took the envelope, didn't speak, didn't dare. Behind him, the elevator closed, like a chapter sealed. But this wasn't the end. It was a blueprint. Leona turned toward the future. She launched Foundation Forward, a program to upskill frontline staff into leadership roles. Desk workers learned project management, janitors trained in logistics, concierge staff studied property oversight, because she knew the strongest structures are built from the ground up. News of the shift spread. Other buildings in the portfolio requested her leadership. Analysts started calling it invisible architecture, not fear-based, but integrity-led, a system where ethics held the blueprint together. That Friday, a private board meeting was held. Executives older, richer, seasoned. They didn't interrupt, didn't condescend. They asked her, formally, to lead. She nodded. No drama, no applause. "Let's not waste time celebrating," she said. "We got systems to clean." That evening, as dusk painted the windows, Leona walked the halls, not to inspect, to remember. She stopped at the lobby, the exact spot where a receptionist once sneered, "Maids don't belong upstairs." That receptionist was long gone, but the echo remained. Leona reached into her coat pocket, pulled out the old key card, the one that got her stopped. She smiled, stepped into the penthouse suite, and sat down. Not because she had to, because it was hers. From that day forward, no one in that building ever said, "Stay in your lane," because Leona Cruz had redrawn the whole map.